Hello friends, this is the 7th lecture on Mathew Arnold, the study of poetry. See, when you come to the 12th century, 12th and 13th centuries, you have only one literature, and that one literature is French literature. And in French literature, the dominant genre or the kind was French Romance poetry. French Romance poetry. And the interesting thing is that our own poetry, when I say our own poetry, that is not my mother tongue, but it is, I am speaking for Mathew Arnold. So Mathew Arnold says in the study of poetry, he says, our own poetry and the early poetry of France are indissolubly connected. What does that mean? That means the English probably might have imbibed quite a lot, absorbed quite a lot of characteristics of the French romantic poetry. Chaucer himself, no? The Romance of the Rose, Roman de la Rose, that is the French title. 12th and 13th century, I told you, was another point to notice. It was the seed time, Middle English, Middle Ages. It was the seed time of all modern languages and modern literature. Or seed time means beginnings, you can say. The poetry of France had a clear predominance in Europe. So this is how I began today's lecture. If there were a recognizable literature or something that you can accept as literature, that was only the French literature. And French literature, that is the French Romance poetry. So modern languages, when we were doing history of the English language, 12th Middle English, then coming of the Normans, 1066, Battle of Hastings, William de Gaulle, Normandy landed in England. And it was all French called Anglo-Norman poetry is known at that time. The poetry written during that period is Anglo-Norman poetry in the Anglo-Norman courts. Court, C-O-U-R-T, courts. Some days, some students write to me saying that the last word in a sentence is not audible. Because normally what happens is that when you speak, the last word in a sentence, the intonation comes down, falling intonation. Maybe my intonation is too much falling and therefore you cannot, it's not audible for you. That's why I repeated that word caught. So modern languages, because before that it was the domination of classical languages, that is Greek and Latin. And then modern languages or vernaculars started coming up. We can say the seed time was 12th and 13th centuries. And of these, what you find is Italian and the French literatures. That's why we say, when we speak about Chaucer, we say, no, not only did Chaucer choose the London tongue because it alone was living, but he endowed with all the graces that he had learned from the then developed French and Italian literature. The English literature was still developing. So the Italian and French literatures, they were already developed. So whatever he had, as you know, Chaucer had many opportunities to go on diplomatic missions of the Queen. So, and what happened is, he learned these things, he came into contact with these things, and he brought it to England. And you can see that very clearly in the Canterbury Tales, the prologue to Canterbury Tales. Yesterday I told you, I might have made mistake. I made one mistake that hath one that Aprile with his sure sute, the drought of March hath pursued to the rooted. I missed that word hath. Hath means has. That's all in the Middle English. They used to write hath, taketh and all those things. In Bible you will find that. Even in Bacon you will see that. Renaissance, early Renaissance, Shakespeare you will see that. Taketh, goeth, cometh and so on. Such expressions are there. So that is. So this is point number one. If there was any literature, what the name, that is French literature. French literature had a predominance. See, preeminent position it had in the European literature, the modern literatures. And of this, again, we have seen, I have already told you about French. And there were two divisions for the French. One is southern and northern. And the southern, that is, the southern literature, there was, most of it is oral. The troubadours, I always say traveling singers, no? Traveling singers. They went around singing. They influenced Italian literature. The Italian literature was influenced by the troubadours or southern France. The poetry of the southern France, Italians. And Italian, the first literature of modern Europe, produced classics. The first literature of modern Europe to produce classics, that is Italian literature. You have two names very famous now, Dante and Petrarch. Petrarch and Dante, common name, so I don't, known to everybody, so there's no point in writing, isn't it? But the northern French literature influenced Europe. And the northern French is the French of today. The French of today is developed from the northern French. Like the English of today is developed from the Middle English. Sorry, the Midland dialects. Midland dialects. English, you remember Middle English period, there are three dialects. Northern dialect, southern dialect and Midland dialect. Midland is East Midland and West Midland together you call Midland dialects. All these things we have already discussed in the history of the English language. 59 lectures right from the origin of language to 18th century, that is appeal to authority, I have already done. If you have time and interest in this, I humbly request you to go through these lectures. They provide a complete history. The whole thing is based on A.C. Bow's the history of the English language. He is Albert C. Bow. I think that is one of the best books to read on history of the English language. So that is, so just as in England, it was the Midland dialects. In France, it was the northern French that became the French of today. So Romance poetry in France, especially you would find it in Anglo-Norman courts in England. So because there was a bridge now, therefore, naturally what happened, there is no need of going to France for this. See, you could learn French in England. Of course, it was a duplicate French, as you know. Chaucer makes fun of the prioress when she tries to speak French. No? French she spake full fair and fatishly upon the scholar of Stratford and Bowie, for French of Paris was to hear an unknown way. She did not know the French of Paris. That is the original French, no? Just as Queen's English is the original English, I guess. But since we cannot learn and study, no opportunity for that, what do? We speak the English of, if I am from Kerala, Kerala English. If another person is Tamil Nadu English, another person Maharashtra English, like that. There's nothing wrong in that, because the important thing is that intelligibility. You should understand each other. Okay, so that's a side, it's a digression again, so let's forget about that. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the French Romance poetry, you could easily have a first-hand information about it, first-hand knowledge about it, first-hand way of studying it. An opportunity for studying it was in Anglo-Norman courts in England. So our native poetry is formed out of this. When I say our, it is not mine. I am speaking about Mathew Arnold. Or you can say, according to Mathew Arnold, English poetry actually was formed out of the French poets. So, took possession of the heart and imagination of the entire Europe. French poetry took possession of the heart and imagination of the entire Europe, and along with that also England. Understand? Europe in 12th and 13th century, French was the supreme and the superb literature. It had a preeminent position, highly esteemed poetry. That's why as English poet Sadi, S-O-U-T-H-E, Sadi or Saudi, both ways it is pronounced. He said, they are the pride of French literature. The French Romance literature is the pride of French literature. Understand? Sadi said. And French remained unchallenged. The French literature, especially in the form of Romance literature, remained unchallenged. So you know Brunetto Latini. You have come across that name, Brunetto Latini, the master of Dante. Brunetto Latini was the master of Dante. What did he say, you know? What did he do? He wrote his treasures in French. His treasure, T-R-E-A-S-U-R-E, same spelling. He wrote his treasure in French. What did he say, you know? Because the language is more agreeable and more widely known. Why did an Italian write in French? Because according to him, the language is more widely known and the language is more agreeable. Agreeable means, you know, certain concepts. As you can see, some certain ideas and concepts you cannot express in, maybe in our mother tongues. Even in English, you cannot. Isn't it? There's always a puzzle, no? So how will you say, so and so is the 5th president of India, directly, or 6th president of India? So and so is the 6th president of India. How will you say it in English? See? 6th president of India you can say, but you have to answer this question. As an answer to a question like this, how many, then you have to say the name of the person and say president. Means order. There's no single way of expressing that. You have to use an indirect way of expressing. You have to take a detour, a kind of roundabout way of saying like that. Understand? Then you have got, so that's what he writes. Then Christian of Troyes, so a Romance writer, Christian of Troyes. Christian of Troyes, that is the name of the famous Romance writer. What did he say, you know? He said, the great French Romance writer, he said that in fact it was a claim that first literature was produced in Greece, in Greek land. From there it migrated to Latin, that is Rome. Now it has come to France, that's what he says. First Greek, then Rome, now France. And then he says that now it is come to France and may it never depart from France. So that is it. Now it has come to France. May it never depart from France. But as Mathew Arnold says, now all gone. Now you don't find, what is it? Now if you want to say something about French literature, you have to make a historic estimate. And that is a fallacy. Historic estimate is a fallacy, but you have to do it. Because you have to say, in the history of the development of poetry, French poetry, especially Romance poetry, French Romance poetry played a key role, or a very dominating influence it was. That doesn't mean that it is great poetry or it is classic. So if you want to say it like that, you can only say it in this way, the basis of historic estimate, that is fallacy. Now superiority. But as you know, nature doesn't like vacuum. Nature will not accept vacuum, a state of vacuum. So we saw, as Krishna Prabhu said, first it was Greece, then Rome, then France, and in between Italy also. Now all gone, now here comes England. The superiority of English literature has been established once and for all. There are many reasons for that. One of the major reasons is that English is spoken by Americans. And America is a very powerful nation. America is a very powerful nation. The only, you can say, the global policemen, their language is English, their literature is English, and so English literature has become the superior, it has acquired that superiority. And also you can see post-colonialism in every colonies speak English, they have got English literature along with their native literature. So you can see Chino HB, isn't it? And then we have many other writers out there. Canada, New Zealand, everywhere you find there. You remember now post-colonial literature, when you started, our first lecture is that there are varieties of post-colonial Indian post-colonial literature. So I have taken about 18 or 19 lectures on post-colonial literature. You can also go through that if you have time and interest. So that is again another digression, isn't it? Okay, forget about that. So where are we now? There's a vacuum. And then into that vacuum came Geoffrey Chaucer. That's the thing. Into that vacuum left by Romance poetry, French Romance poetry, once upon a time the most dominant poetry in Europe. Now comes Chaucer. Chaucer was a genius. Chaucer had imbibed grace of the French and Italian literature. He imported that to England. Not only imported, he made use of it. That's the thing. So Chaucer, in 14th century, he was a genuine source of joy and strength. He was a genuine source of joy and strength. He is and he will remain. He wrote for the posterity. That is Longinus concept. Sublime means, or as Dryden says, the unbribed praise of the posterity. And it was Dryden who said, here is God's plenty, about the Canterbury Tales, the prologue to Canterbury Tales. 29 pilgrims getting ready to go to the tomb of St. Thomas Becket, who helped them when they were sick. Sick means sick. They were coming. And it so happened that he was in that Tabard Inn and he came into contact with those people and he talked to them and found out their apparel, their interest, their character. So he gives very gentle, with gentle humor. That is the genius of Chaucer. It's not anything new that Chaucer brought in. It was already there, the monastic satire. But it was very sharp. Monastic satire was sharp and destructive. But what is so superior and sweet about light and sweet, as Mathew himself says, sweet and light about culture? See, in his opinion, culture, no? What is culture? Sweet, light, sweet and light. Of course, those two words were borrowed by him from Jonathan Swift. That's another thing. That is intertextual, you can say. Yeah. So his substance and style, gentle humor. He would be sending arrows, but he will not be seen, and he himself will laugh at what he himself has written. That is the funny thing about that. Understand? So he said the immense superiority of Chaucer's poetry over French is his superiority of substance and style. Totally different substance and style. Not the romance poetry. Life. Life. What's so wonderful about Shakespeare? It is human nature. True to his mind. Be above all, be true to yourself. Laertes being advised by his father Polonius. So true to life. Dr. Johnson praises Shakespeare for this. The true to life. So his kindly view of human life. Prologue to Canterbury Tales is humble example, provides humble example. Even the worst characters, ecclesiastical characters, the monk, the friar, you can see, you won't feel a negative feeling towards him. Towards the end of the description, he makes one of them. Gentle humor. It's called gentle humor. The existing monastic satire in his hands became gentle humor. Not like a sunshine, but the rays of the morning sun. Enge sonne. What he talks, when he attacks people, it is like the rays of the morning sun. The rays of the morning sun don't hurt anybody. But at the same time, it shows you everything. It exhibits everything. Exactly like that. This is how the humor, this is the gentle humor. This is how Chaucer looked at life with a gentleman's eye. That's why this earned him the name of father of English poets. So you should understand the context in which Chaucer enters the arena. The so-called superiority, the so-called superb, the so-called dominating, the so-called preeminent position of French Romance poetry at that time. The mind of Europe and the imagination of Europe was packed with French Romantic poetry. Suddenly you find there's a vacuum, and into that vacuum comes with substance and style, a new substance and style. Chaucer is kindly view of human life. Dryden said, no, it is sufficient to say, according to proverb, that here is God's plenty. Then he also says, it is perpetual fountain of good sense. Chaucer is the perpetual fountain of good sense. This is high criticism of life, truth and substance. So, why do you give or shower praises on Chaucer? Because it's the perpetual fountain of good sense, perpetual fountain of gentle humor, perpetual fountain of substance and style. So today we accept him as the father of English poetry. We will continue this. Rest of it is all about Chaucer, and he concludes, that is the anticlimax. And what is that anticlimax of Mathew Arnold's conclusion? We will see tomorrow or in the next class when we meet. Till then, bye, have a nice time, enjoy your life. I hope you are enjoying my classes. You are getting something out of it, some substance. You are enjoying my substance and the substance and style of my lecture. In that case, you must subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my channel. And also share this view with your friends so that they also may get benefit out of this. Understand that? So, my dear friends, bye.